3 years ago, I did a 3-part series on CPF to share how you can use the strategies and lead a fulfilling quality of retirement life. 3 years later, let's revisit this topic again and update with some new information as well as my own real-life examples of how I would strategize my CPF. So as a tradition for this first part of the series, I will start with my ordinary account or CPF OA. Then subsequently, in the next few episodes, I will talk about the Medisave Account, MA, and the Special Account, SA. And if you want to join a like-minded community of people discussing about personal finance and CPF matters, then join us at Honey Money SG with close to 17,000 community members in this link right here. So today's focus is on CPF Ordinary Account, or known as CPF OA. And to give a quick summary, it can be used to pay for many things in your life, like housing, investing, term insurance, and even education loan. But all that comes with terms and conditions attached, which we will go through in this video. Firstly, let's answer the question on how much of your salary is allocated to CPF OA. And based on what you search online, it may lead you to this table, which you have no idea what all these numbers are. So I have already simplified all these percentages and numbers into an Instagram post, which you can refer to right here. And the OA percentage allocation will be based on your age. For example, for someone aged 35 and below, on a $3,000 of gross salary, 23% of it will be allocated to the OA, which means 23% multiplied by 3,000, which makes it $690 will go into the OA every month. The ordinary account also gives you 2.5% annual interest, and that has not changed for many years. If you are below the age of 55, there will be 1% additional interest on your first $16,000 of CPF combined balances, but that will be kept to your first $20,000 in the ordinary account. Then if you are 55 years old and above, there will be additional 2% interest on your first $30,000 CPF combined balances and additional 1% per annum on your next $30,000. And to make it clear, I've already discussed in a previous video that you do not need a minimum of $20,000 in your CPF OA to earn that additional 1%. The $20,000 is just a cap, it is not a minimum requirement. So if your total combined CPF balance is not above $60,000 but your OA is already above $20,000, you may want to consider transferring it to the SA to earn the additional 1% interest first. Now let's talk about the biggest feature of ordinary account, which is to pay for housing. And the purpose of this video, I will just talk about HDB because most of us are living in the public government housing. Now, when talking about HDB, the first question is always, are you going to use a bank loan or HDB loan? In the past, I used to compare bank loan and HDB loan because bank loans were really competitive back then. But now that interest rates have raised, I think HDB loan goes to be the more favorable choice at 2.6% per annum fixed. And that 2.6% is not anyhow plucked out from thin air one. It is always 0.1% above the prevailing OA interest rate, which is at 2.5%. So total 2.6%. Now, if you're taking a private bank loan for your private property, then you must know that your CPF OA can only pay up to 20% of the property purchase price. And that is part of the 25% down payment based on the loan to value of 75%. So the remaining 5% down payment must be paid by cash. So the second question of housing payments is, should you pay using cash or pay using CPF OA? And to make it super clear cut, this is not a question if you do not have enough cash flow every month, be it CPF OA or cash. Because some people do buy really expensive homes and they need a combined balance of CPF plus some cash outlay to pay for their monthly mortgage. So this question is only applicable to those people who have both sufficient cash and sufficient CPF OA, and they can choose to pay from either one of them. Now, for those who are considering to pay with cash, likely they are in this scenario. They dislike the concept of accrued interest, they do not have other investments generating more than 2.5%, and they are able to transfer OA to SA to gain 4% per annum for safe return. Because for the fact that if they are not using their CPF OA to pay for the mortgage, their OA has not much usage, right? So they can transfer to SA to earn 4%. And for the people paying for their housing with CPF, this is what they likely would think. They understand the concept of accrued interest, and when paid back, it is still their own CPF money. And they may have investments generating at least 4% per annum to beat the special account return. Because here's the thing, right? If your special account has not reached the full retirement sum yet, your opportunity cost of using the CPF OA is 4% per annum, not 2.5% per annum. Because what you could simply do is to transfer the OA to SA. then use your liquid cash to pay for your housing loan. So you always have to consider opportunity costs. So my very own strategy for housing is that I've already reached the full retirement sum in my special account at age 30, which means that now my opportunity cost is no longer 4% because I cannot transfer OA to SA anymore, right? So my opportunity cost for using OA has been decreased to 2.5%. And this will mean I'm more inclined to use my CPF OA to pay for housing. Note that under HDB rules, you can keep up to $20,000 in your CPF OA for the property down payment, and you need not wipe out the OA entirely, unlike in the previous years. This video has no sponsor, but you can support me by clicking on this interactive brokers link, especially when they are one of the most competitive brokerages to offer Ireland domiciled ETFs on London Stock Exchange, and also interactive brokers offer the best exchange rates for foreign currency. So get your IBKR account by clicking on this link right here. Secondly, let's talk about using your CPF OA for investing, and the main requirement for using CPF OA is that you need to have at least $20,000 in your CPF ordinary account and or $40,000 in your special account if you want to use the special account to invest, but that's out of the question. And if you want to use CPF OA to invest, there's only a list of specific products that you can invest in, and you can refer to it right here. Also take note of the transaction fees and recurring quarterly fees, if any, from $2 per transaction and quarterly holding. And my very own strategy of investing with my CPF OA is through endowment, and I'm buying this fund called a Money Prime USA fund, which tracks the top US companies listed in the stock exchange. So if you ask me, is it a good idea to use your CPF OA to invest? I only felt that it was a good idea when you're near the full retirement sum in your SA because your opportunity cost will be reduced. Otherwise, you're fighting very hard to gain a 4% per annum return when your SA is giving you 4% interest in a very low risk environment. Let's talk about the third usage of CPF, which is on insurance. Now, some of you may not even notice that there is this dependent protection scheme, which is a term life insurance scheme that provides basic financial protection for you and your family in the event of death, terminal illness, or total permanent disability. And currently, it is administered by Great Eastern Life. And do you even know that it is an auto-inclusion scheme when you are between age 21 to 65 for a Singapore citizen or permanent resident? So you may not even know it. But the premiums are really affordable for the coverage. For example, if you're 34 and below, you're paying $18 per year for $70,000 coverage. Then as your age increases, your premium will increase as well. To me, this is an affordable term insurance, so I suggest all of you to just keep it. And it acts as a good supplement for those of you who have term insurance as well. Lastly, let's talk about the usage of CPF OA for education, and specifically it is education loan. CPF education loan scheme is for approved institutions for full-time undergraduate degree and diploma programs under this list. So it's not like any kind of educational institute in Singapore is eligible. Need to really be all these approved institutions. And note that when you're taking out a CPF education loan from your CPF accounts, there is a 2.5% opportunity cost as well as the accrued interest. So it is definitely not interest-free because this time you really have to pay back one. Repayment will start 1 year after you graduate or leave your educational institution. The loan has to be fully repaid within 12 years. And repayment must be made in cash to your lender's OA. You cannot use your own CPF savings to repay your education loan. So if you borrow from CPF using OA, you must pay back using cash, not use your future CPF contributions to pay. So it's more suitable for those parents who are cash-strapped but want to send their kids to university education in the approved institutions. So overall, you can see the CPF ordinary account has many uses. Number one, for housing. All these mandatory contributions over the years can help you afford the property for own stay and to ensure many Singapore residents have a roof above their heads. And number two, for investing. There is a potential to boost returns above the CPF OA interest rate if you have the suitable risk profile. Number three, insurance. It provides an affordable term insurance for many people with rather good coverage. And finally, for education loan, it can be applied to your own, your spouse, or your kids' education, ensuring that you or your family members are well educated. But one thing about CPF OA is that there is no direct contribution method to voluntary top up your CPF OA for any tax relief purposes. The only way to buff up your CPF OA is either through mandatory contributions through your employment or voluntary contributions through the 3 accounts, which does not even have any tax relief. So I would not recommend that for those of you employed people. So what do all these people really mean when they say top up their CPF? It's mainly to their special accounts or Medisave accounts, which we will explore in the next 2 videos. And meanwhile, if you want to look at how much CPF I have at the start of 2024, then I can refer you to my very popular annual CPF review video right here.